Hey everyone, it's Michelle Vina-Baltsas. I hope you're doing great on this Tuesday afternoon. I wanted to check in because one of the group members had a great question, and it is one that I often have to help my clients with. So my thing is that if one person has the question, many people probably have the question, so I wanted to do a live about it. So let's talk. I'm going to read you the question. I'm going to be referring to my little cheat sheet here because I want to make sure that I get the question just right. And also I jotted down a bunch of notes and I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. So just be patient with me as I read this question to you. The question is, how do I consolidate intuitive eating with habits you're trying to break? I'm an evening snacker. It's not about hunger, but I have these intrusive thoughts about food at night. I practice self-compassion, and I don't judge myself as I snack, but I would like to break this mindless habit. Any thoughts? And as a matter of fact, I do have some thoughts on this, which is the reason why I'm doing this video. So I don't really like to do coaching with people that I don't know their full story. So I'm really going to be very general and high level with this. But some of the questions that I would ask someone, the first question I would ask is, really, what phase are they in terms of the intuitive eating process? Are they just starting out? Are they sort of intermediate? Or are they more advanced and been practicing for, maybe 6 months to a year, 2 years, whatever it is? But if you're like in the beginning, very, very early phases of intuitive eating, chances are you are going to want to eat fairly often, just because food is there or just because food is available. That's fairly common. It isn't until later on in the later phases of intuitive eating or after you've been practicing for quite some time that you begin to refine the process a little bit more and start to be a little bit more concerned about, as she's saying, mindless eating. So that's the first thing I would ask is, where are you in the intuitive eating process? I happen to know that this person is a little bit more advanced in her the stages of IE. So, again, she's trying to refine her process of this, which I think is great. She's asking herself some important questions. So the first question another question I would also ask is, with nighttime eating in the absence of hunger, oftentimes that happens when people are not eating enough during the day or are restricting food in some way. Now, I realize that possible food restriction may not be conscious. So that's very, very important to understand. There may still be some underlying restriction going on there during the day. The other question I would want to find out is, are the foods you're eating during the day satisfying your hunger? Because if they're not, then it makes perfect sense that in the evening, when things have settled down and are quieter and you have more time to think, that your body might be screaming out, you know what, I'm not satisfied. I need something else to eat. So make sure you're eating enough during the day. Make sure you're not restricting any food. And again, some of that may be unconscious and only you would know that. And actually, you may not even know if it's unconscious, but just ask yourself that question. And ask yourself, very important, are you eating foods that are satisfying you? Because if you're eating foods, but you're eating plenty of food to satisfy your hunger, it may not be satisfying you in terms of, you love it, this food really did it for me, I feel completely satiated. Again, only you know that. Also, are you eating enough carbs? Because that could be another reason why you are craving. And of course, depending upon the things that you're craving in the evening, that is also very important, because there is some research that indicates that certain types of foods, if you are consistently craving them when you want to eat them in the absence of hunger, that they can be linked to certain emotions. So it would also be important for me to know, is this person craving the same type of food consistently in the evenings? Like, as an example, are they craving chips in the evening or crunchy type foods? Are they craving creamy type foods like dairy, ice cream, cheese, things like that? So these are all really, really important questions that, again, in a coaching session, we would tease all of these things out and really try to come up with some type of a plan so that the person really could continue to dig a little bit deeper here. There may or there may not be some things that are going on here below the surface, or it could be as simple as food restriction, but it really just depends. Another very important question is, how are you managing your stress levels? Because again, during the day, it tends to be a little bit frenetic for most of us, and we're working and we're doing and we're doing and doing, and we don't always have an opportunity to really stop and reflect. And at nighttime, when it gets a little bit darker and our bodies are kind of settling in, all of a sudden a lot of thoughts come to the surface that don't have an opportunity to do during the day. So how is the stress being managed during the day? And is it possible that you're not managing the stress well during the day, so it is sort of blah at nighttime and coming out with a vengeance? So that's another thing to consider. Another one, very, very easy one to figure out, is how's your sleep? Are you getting enough sleep? Because remember, if you're not getting adequate sleep, the hunger fullness hormones are going to be out of whack. So that could be another thing to consider. And not only are you sleeping, but are you getting restorative sleep? Are you waking up on your own? Are you feeling tired during the day? When you wake up in the morning, do you feel rested or do you still feel tired? That's really the way you're going to know whether or not your sleep is a good sleep or a not so good sleep. So sleep obviously is critical. And as I said earlier, depending upon the types of foods, I would be looking for the foods that you're craving with frequency. And so that's important. It absolutely could just be a mindless habit, as she says, but it might not be. So like with most things with food, it's not so easy. You know, sometimes when you go a little bit deeper, which I obviously do go much, much deeper with my clients because that's what I'm supposed to do, asking a lot of questions and waiting for responses, and then these are all very, very important things to get to the root of why someone is doing something that makes them uncomfortable. Again, it could be something as simple as restriction. It could be something as simple as perhaps the foods that they are allowing themselves to eat are not satisfying them, which leads to a million other questions. So, you know, what may seem like just a mindless habit could be deeper, but it could not be. So like I said, there may not be one perfect answer, and it may be different for everybody. So we're all unique, and that's okay. We're supposed to be. So I hope that this is helpful for you, because like I said, this is something that I hear people talking about very, very often, and it's a very common concern. And again, depending upon where you are in your journey with intuitive eating, if you're just starting to practice, you will probably see much, much more of this. As you get into the later phases, you'll probably see less of it, but that does not mean that it will not be present. It still needs to be teased out. So, either way, I hope this is helpful, and I'm signing off now. And anyone who has any other questions and would like me to do a live video, please submit them, because when I have time, I will get to them, or I'll write a blog about it. But I love to know what some of your concerns are, because again, if you have a question or concern, chances are somebody else does too. So it's always good to know we're not alone, and it's always good to get help where we can, help and support, and that's part of the reason why I'm here. If any of you believe that you are struggling with eating that makes you uncomfortable in some way, or you believe that you are restricting in some way for whatever reason, because you're afraid of weight gain, because you're afraid you won't be able to stop, you know, there's a whole laundry list of reasons why people restrict their food. Because of food allergies or perceived food allergies, all different things. There's many, many strategies to dealing with problematic eating. So hit me up. I do a consult call, and we can just chat and connect. You know, and you'd be surprised how much just a phone call can do. And if further coaching is desired, we can talk about that too. But initially, we can just connect, because I really enjoy doing that. And the few people that have connected with me offline, we've had really productive and fun conversations. So again, thanks for being in the No Diet Sisterhood. I will check in soon. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.